This week on Coincidence or Godincidence.
I know with all certainty that God sent that deer that day to save my life.
Life-changing, unexplained events happen every day to ordinary people. Many claim it's divine intervention. In the next 30 minutes, you will hear amazing stories of miracles, mysteries, and hope. You can decide if it's coincidence or Godincidence. Now, here is your host, Steve Rose.
The Lord works in mysterious ways, and today we share more stories of miracles and mysteries to try to prove it. And would the God of the universe plan a collision between a car and a deer? You can decide for yourself when you hear Randy Bohn's story. I'm Steve Rose, asking you to stay with us for the next half hour because I truly believe you just may be left asking yourself, was that a coincidence or a Godincidence?
Coming up next, a party animal, a cougar, and a white-tailed deer all play a major role in our next story.
You're watching Coincidence or Godincidence, and I'm your host, Steve Rose, and with me now is Randy Bohn. Randy, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Steve.
Hey, in your earlier days, you used to be quite a party animal, I understand.
Yes, I was, unfortunately. Not so much a drinker at home, but when I'd get together with other people, there was no end to it.
And other people turned out to be your cousin Rick. There was a night in Appleton. Tell me a little bit about that. What happened?
That's right. I had called up Rick one day and I said, hey, how would you like to get together with your friends down in Appleton? He said, sure, come on down. So I had met them at a bar down there, and we continued, Steve, to make the rounds. And because we were all pool shooters in those days, we made sure that we played a lot of pool, but we drank a lot of drinks.
You did. How many drinks suppose you had?
If I had to guess, I'd probably say at least a dozen.
That's a lot.
Yeah, between beers and mixed drinks. But you know, you're just socializing and they just one after another.
And obviously your friend made sure you stayed overnight down there.
He tried to.
He did.
Yeah, Rick said, Randy, you're in no shape to drive home. I want you to stay at my place. I said, hey, I'm okay. I'm all right.
And so you got in your car. What were you driving, by the way?
I drove a souped-up 1978 Mercury Cougar.
Okay.
And we called it a chick magnet, you know, in those days. Had the wire rims and the jacked up back, and it was quite a vehicle. It was about 30 feet long, too.
Oh, it was really? Okay.
Yeah.
So now you've decided to drive home. That sounds like a bad choice to me, Randy.
It turned out to be a very bad choice. I jump in my car, and I'm tired, and I'm drunk, and I start driving 41 north, and I get just outside of Kaukauna. And in those days, I didn't wear a seatbelt. I used my cruise control all the time. So here I am driving down the road, and I start thinking I can cheat on sleeping, so I start going from one eye to the next, thinking I'm catching up. And I end up passing out, and I'm dreaming. Actually, I can remember dreaming.
Okay. So your car is going 55, 60 miles an hour, and you're passed out.
Right. It's
That
like
doesn't sound like yeah.
It's like a speeding bullet. I mean, I was a kamikaze.
Okay.
Going down straight down the middle of the road.
What happened?
Well, as I was dreaming and sleeping, and my car was on autopilot, by a miracle, it stayed on the road, first of all, but all of a sudden I heard this explosion, like an atomic bomb, and I instantly jammed my foot on the brake, which I didn't realize was an automatic, snubs the engine, the car skidded off the side of the road, ended up kind of half in the ditch, half on the road, and I instantly saw that the front of my hood was crinkled, and I threw my head onto the steering wheel.
Were you injured, Randy?
I was not injured.
Okay, but the car was?
The hood was crinkled, and I thought, oh no, I hit somebody walking down the side of the road. I had a person in high school that had plowed into 3 girls, killed 2 of them, and went to prison. I thought that's where I was going.
Oh, no kidding. So you get out of the car.
Yes, I get out of the car sheepishly, but I knew I couldn't get away with this. So I walked out, walked back, and as I'm walking, I see this thing in the middle of the road, and as I get closer, my heart sank with kind of a anticipation that things were going to be okay. It was a dead deer right in the middle of the road.
You were relieved at that point. Randy, I got to ask you this question. Why do you think that that deer wandered in front of this 1978 Cougar?
Well, I had a praying grandmother, Steve, and later on I realized the impact of this story. She was praying for me for a lot of years, and I think that our Creator from the beginning of time put that deer in that position so that I could hit it in the middle of the road at that exact moment, at that exact time.
Wow. Randy, how has this story affected your life?
I couldn't tell you how much it's impacted me, Steve, over the years, especially a couple of years after the incident where I ended up surrendering my life to our Creator.
Yeah, amen.
But I've told numerous people that that day was the first day of the rest of my life. Every day after that was a bonus because I shouldn't be here right now.
Yeah, and did you, how long before you shelved all the beer and alcohol and the other stuff, beer and
A couple years later, when I ended up surrendering my life, He gave me the desire to not drink anymore.
Wow. What an incredible story that the God of the universe,
That's right.
at a perfect time while Randy was sleeping, and like you said, there you are, like a missile, passed out, and that thing stays on. What an incredible, incredible story. Did you ever tell your praying grandmother the story?
No, I did not. I don't believe that I did, but we got a chance to spend a lot of time together.
You did. Well, Randy, I appreciate you coming in to share this story with us. God bless you, man.
Thank you,
Appreciate
Steve.
it. Thanks for dropping by. Today we watch God protect a boy medically through the watchful heart of a mom. In this case, Kathy Doms. And a fellow by the name of Ben is grateful. Then God showed that He can provide money in some pretty profound ways, but we ask that you don't try this at home unless you feel you've heard from God, as Steve Swan did, and Harlan Akela is a believer. And always be careful when you're behind the wheel. You may not be as fortunate as Randy Bohn, who is here today because of a sacrificial deer. I'm Steve Rose, hoping you'll join us again next time when we'll hear more astonishing tales that just may leave you asking yourself, was that a coincidence or a God incidence?